What is going on, YouTube, and welcome to a new chapter of the channel. We will be reacting. I will be throwing these out every now and then from now on. Well, not even every now and then. I'm going to try to do it as often as... Shut up, phone. I know you interrupt me. I'm going to try to do this as often as I can. But what's up? It's Lost Fantasy, the guy who likes to get lost in fantasy, anime, video games, gaming, manga, and even his own imagination. And welcome to the first iteration of this channel, reacting. I want to start with what I want to do is I'm going to be reacting to manhwa from now on. Manhwa narration on YouTube ever since I've been on my manhwa journey for the past maybe year. I'm kind of new. I'm kind of recent, although I've read a lot on my phone and all of that. I wanted to take the time out of my day to watch some of these narrations. I felt it could be good content. You know what I mean? And what better way is to check out the recommendations on my YouTube, because they have been popping up everywhere ever since I started looking for manhwa recommendations. So I wanted to start this one as a beginner, as a start. As a start, uh, it's from Otaku Life's channel. I thought I subscribed. I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Boom, right? So I'm gonna subscribe to him, and it's titled "Betrayed Assassin Reincarnated as the Strongest Swordsman to Take His Revenge." That sounds like something that I am thoroughly going to enjoy. But I figured that's not the name. So let's see. Yeah, the reincarnated assassin is a genius swordsman. So let's go ahead and get right into that. I'll be probably putting that in the description down below. And let's enjoy. Let's get started on this, man. Ooh, I can't wait to start this. So I'm going to probably do maybe 20 minutes. I'm going to start with 20, see how it goes. Maybe 10, 15, and to see how that goes. See if I like it and everything. Let me double check and see everything's good on my end. If everything's recording. Okay, yeah. Whatever. What the fuck ever. Let's get this started, shall we? Sorry, my quality's probably not as good, but it'll get better in the future. Trust me.
The story opens with a metaphorical narration of the cold night breeze, the half-hidden moonlight, and the senses of an assassin whispering the same thing. In the next instance, we meet our main protagonist, Leon, who receives compliments on his good work. Leon kneels and looks up at the voice that compliments him, thanking the respected Sir Daruth Robert. Daruth glares at our hero as he narrates that he has been told he will be killed by the man standing in front of him tonight.
Alright, first off, this art is really good. I like it. And what I wanted to point out was that, one, you've been told that you're going to be killed. Yeah, nah, son, no. But of course, it's not reincarnation, regression, isekai, whatever you want to call it, without somebody dying. So that's hilarious. But what I wanted to talk about was, like, how many of y'all be choosing assassin like classes in like RPGs and stuff? Like I would normally more so be like brawler, using your hands and stuff like that. If not, then maybe something creative, But I've never picked assassin. How many of y'all have? I haven't.
He comments on the fitting performance of the protagonist as the Shadow Chief, and commends that it is because of him that the family has been growing in power faster. Leon humbly expresses that he has just been doing what he should have, but in a slight change of tone, Daruth asks him if he thinks the Shadow needs freedom. And following this question, our hero answers that they, Shadows, are not capable of questioning anything that has been commanded to them, and are to only follow the orders given to them by their masters. But just then, our hero is startled when Daruth questions why he had acted on his own when he knew of this rule in fact. Leon is taken aback by the extreme pressure and tense situation, as Daruth asks why he had undone the brainwashing. He glares at Leon as he kneels before him, wondering how Daruth has come to know of this. We are then enlightened about what brainwashing actually is. It is the method that the Robert family uses to control their assassination organization, Shadow. It is elaborated that they buy or kidnap children, and make them work as assassins their entire lives for the sake of the Robert family, engaging in all kinds of wicked activities. And our hero continues to narrate that, simply put, they groom the children into becoming their loyal dogs. However, he coincidentally was able to break free from these chains. Wondering how the man is able to confront him, he asks Daruth how he knows. Daruth then explains that he and the other assassins have two collars. One is for brainwashing, and he snaps his fingers to reveal the second collar. And just then, our hero feels a sudden intense pain in his chest. He bleeds from his mouth and continues to wail in agony and excruciating pain. He grabs hold of his chest firmly and wonders what kind of pain this is, expressing it to be as if his heart is being sawed in half.
Alright, so let me get this right. They kidnap. I'm not even surprised at this point with the many mangas I've read and animes I've watched. But they kidnap kids, train them to be assassins, brainwash them. Okay. So apparently there's two types of collars. One for brainwashing, I'm assuming, and the other one kills them at the snap of a finger. These people just like, why are these people so villainous in these influential families, bro? I don't understand it. It's so weird, man. But you know what? I'm messing with the story. Let me stop pausing. Hopefully, it ain't be no copyright type thing. But I really just doubt that it's gonna get copyrighted.
A dark red aura surrounds Leon as he glares upon the torturer in front of him, and Daruth explains it to be the rage worm. He explains that there is an insect in his body that eats away at his heart upon his command, and this is the worst kind of enchantment that there is, allowing them to look into the emotions of the slave. Leon is startled and dazed in anger as he calls out at the sickening act, and he yells at Daruth, questioning if brainwashing them wasn't enough that they had to feed them rage worms too. Daruth, however, contradicts the fair and righteous comment as he tells himself to be thorough, and he elaborates that there is a saying that every person wears a mask. He continues to tell that his mask just happens to be thicker than others. This is when we get to know about the backstory of our hero. Leon says that he was kidnapped at an age he does not remember, and he was raised as the Robert family's hunting dog. He solemnly expresses that he was the head of the shadow, and lived his life without any emotions or a mind of his own. He continues that coincidentally, he was able to learn a breathing technique called the Fire's Ring, and to prove that this was the divine skill of the best swordsman. He broke free from the brainwashing. But he expresses that he thought he would be met with freedom, yet he wonders why he has had to meet with death instead. He dwells into deep despair as he questions his life, and wonders what kind of sins he has committed to die such a meaningless death. However, just then, something flares up his spirit and he picks himself up, gritting his teeth and determined that this cannot end like this. He stands up.
Wait. So, they may elaborate on that in the future, but where did he learn the breathing technique in the first place? Where did he even get it from? He's an assassin. Where would he get a ultimate swordsman breathing technique from? That's okay.
Startling and surprising Daruth, who asks how he can even stand up in such a state. Leon's eyes glow and he glares at his opponent, preparing himself to attack. He is determined to take his arm or even just inflict a small injury. Our hero bravely leaps forward and approaches his torturer, screaming in full spirit and fury, expressing he won't just die so pathetically. Daruth sees the wrath of the slave approaching him, and he immediately raises his arm to counter. He slashes through our hero's body in just an instant. In the blink of an eye, we see our hero's body cut through with a sharp cutting slash, blood sputtering out, and his head rolling over on the ground as his eyes fill with emptiness. Daruth stands before the corpse of the dead slave as he contemplates that he thought he had prevented everything. But he is surprised that the slave has undone the brainwashing, and even attacked him through the pain of the rage worm. He then makes his leave and notices a small cut on his hand, wondering when was the last time he was injured. He's annoyed at being bitten by his own disposable hunting dog. Other assassins and caretakers make their way instantly to the scene as Daruth calls them to take care of the mess. Just then, we see that our hero has not yet given up, his eyes still glaring at the torturer stepping away in disgust. He contemplates the fact that Daruth is the strongest, and there was no way he would have won against him. Our hero dwells in despair and hopelessness as he slowly lets go, thinking that there is nothing that he could have done. But just before he gives up, the realization dawns upon him, and he contemplates his regrets, expressing that he is upset about living a life without a reason, being humiliated and manipulated all his life, and that he cannot complete the Fire's Ring. He calls out desperately, exclaiming that he does not care if he fights a devil or a god. He wants to get revenge no matter what. That's when a charm starts to glow right beside him. A system window opens up and displays that he has been chosen by rage, and his body will now be possessed. But then, the system window turns red, expressing that the body of the vessel has died, and chaotically displays an error on the screen. In a change of setting, we are brought to a sunny and bright field where birds are chirping, and the sun shines brightly. A woman's voice holds a toy in her hand as she calls for someone named Sunny to look at her, and a baby's voice echoes as he reaches out his hands at the woman, calling her mama. The woman asks the baby what he thinks the toy is, and the baby mutters the words, for his baba. The woman is in awe of the child and picks him up, holding him close to her chest, but the baby appears to be somewhat annoyed. The baby expresses that he still cannot get used to this, and the voice of our hero once again narrates, telling us that the woman cuddling him is Sylvia. He continues to tell us that it is still hard to believe, while Sylvia holds him up in the air and playfully asks him to try and say mom. Leon states that it is still hard to believe that he has been reincarnated as a woman's child. With all the memories of his past life as an assassin, he first thought that he had been dreaming and sleeping for the past 100 days, and he did not wake up from a dream no matter how much he slept, so he accepted the fact that he has been reborn. Sylvia holds Leon in her arms as she mentions that the weather is good today.
Bro, I just wanted to say, why are all men with MILFs and women just so fine? I swear to God. Like, the man that's at like the top of my list, like the tippy top, is My Path to Killing Gods in Another World, even though that's been discontinued and I really hate that it has. But the red hair girl, man, bro. Some of these men really do need an anime adaptation. A really good one, not no garbage one. And I'm not sure about how the solo leveling anime is gonna go about. I hope they do it justice, at least. I hope so.
And she wishes for the patriarch to be back home soon so he can give him a handsome name. Leon gazes over at the woman holding him
She is
and
fine.
finds out that she can't keep calling him Sonny forever. But in other news, he also mentions that the patriarch must be busy since he has not shown his face in the past 100 days. He also tells us that he could not figure out too much after reincarnating, but he acknowledges that he has been reborn into a wealthy and renowned family, expressing that it's better to be born into a powerful family than a normal one. And he adds that he needs to get his revenge after all, expressing that the rage and desire for revenge are still prominent in his mind. But still, he gets a hold of himself and acknowledges that he must be patient, because he does not know where this is, what the position of this family is, or what kind of situation he is in right now. Adding to his contemplation, he recalls that he was unable to complete the Fire's Ring in his past life, so he needs to be patient. He was called the best assassin in Robert family's history, and so, in order to enact revenge, he needs to swallow his emotions for as long as it takes.
Is he in the
Our
same
baby
era,
hero
though?
is curious, gazing upon the luxurious mansion, wondering if this family is more than renowned. But just then, his attention is diverted to a panicking voice that calls out to Sylvia, yelling out loud that the patriarch has arrived. When Sylvia is dazed upon hearing that her father is coming, Leon speculates that the patriarch is his grandfather. She exclaims that she needs to prepare for his arrival, but the maid tells her that it is too late, and he is already here. The atmosphere changes in the room as Sylvia and the maid both stand in a daze, and Leon experiences this change as he questions the sudden tension in the atmosphere. A voice yells out to make it known that the patriarch is entering, and a gate opens as a man follows through with 2 guards accompanying him. Leon expresses that just the man's existence is overwhelming. A royal gown flutters in the air as the man steps into the room, making our young hero squeak in a baby voice. He speculates and acknowledges the man who has approached him, and Sylvia greets her father in respect. The man has a beard, and he questions if the baby that Sylvia holds is his grandchild. This is when Leon realizes his identity. He points out the golden blonde hair of the man, the flame-like red eyes, and his ice-cold aura. He explains the man to be the zenith of this continent, the northern king of annihilation, Glenn Zychart. Our baby hero appears to be concerned and dazed.
Wait. King of Annihilation? That sounds so fucking sick. Hold on. So I thought that Sylvia was the wife of him. But nope, that's the father of Sylvia. Okay, that's the grandfather of Leon. Okay. And he's probably gonna be a beast. Hold on.
As the patriarch gazes upon his grandchild and wonders how the hell he got reincarnated into the most powerful family on the continent. Sylvia asks her father if he wants to hold his grandchild. All the while, our baby hero deems such a fate as ironic. Glenn, the esteemed patriarch of the house, exclaims that the baby will be named Leon, suggesting that the meaning of the name is to live like a shadow, as if the warrior is there but also not there. Leon's baby eyes widen at this statement. It's hard for him to process how he was given the same name as his past life.
Men with rules, bro.
Night falls upon the land eventually, and moonlight shines through the room as Leon pretends to be soundly asleep in his cot. But actually, he is wide awake and wondering if everyone else has gone to sleep. He sits up and contemplates the fact that after 100 days, he now finally has his chance. He elaborates that he was always sleepy. Every time he would wake up, Sylvia would always be by his side, ready to cuddle him up. That didn't allow him to use his mana, but now, finally, he is able to sleep in a separate crib. Sighing in satisfaction, he expresses that he should get started.
Yeah.
He sits upright, crossing his legs to perform a certain stance, calling upon the Fire Ring ability. Our baby hero explains that this continent's normal training method uses breathing styles. One absorbs nature's energy and gathers the aura in the energy core. However, he adds that the fire rings he has obtained use a different path. Enlightening us about the workings, he elaborates that when a mage uses his energy, it shapes the heart's ring, growing his overall physical abilities and energy manipulation techniques. Because of this, he mentions that this type of breathing technique is the best to become a perfect martial artist.
Okay,
Moreover, this
hold
sort
on.
of breathing technique has the advantage over transcendents like Daruth, who don't know its full capabilities. And so, he expresses that by using the fire's ring, one can grow their mentality and body. He desires that if he can make the Zygarde's swordsmanship his own, defeating and enacting revenge upon Daruth won't just be a dream. Analyzing himself, he is skeptical, but he points out that it's because of such a premature body, filled with freezing energy, that his body felt cold even after sleeping for more than 20 hours. He closes his eyes to analyze how many places are blocked, realizing the number to be 9.
I always
He
find this so
concludes that at
interesting.
this rate, he is going to die due to his circuits being blocked by the cold. He knows that he needs to break through them using the fire's ring, but he expresses that throwing away such highly pure cold energy is a waste, although he questions if he can fuse it with the fire's flow and circulate it throughout. Some time has passed, and our baby hero has concluded his training. Although he thinks that it is slow, he is still making very good progress. Just before he decides to move on to the next stage, he feels a bit agitated.
Okay. I didn't want to stop it, but like I was just thinking that, bro. It's like some Todoroki type stuff. He said he found pure cold energy and he didn't want to waste it, so he wanted to fuse it. That is the exact thing I thought when I was just watching this just now, and that just shows to you that I watch too much of this. I read too much of this, man. I can predict some of this stuff, man. I'm 3,000 IQ and up in here, man. You got to realize, bro. This a
He
lifestyle.
acknowledges that his body is tired, questioning the stamina of this premature body getting tired after such little training.
You're a baby.
But our poor baby can't help it, and he feels the weight of his eyes as he slowly closes them to sleep. Leon has soundly slept in his crib, and this is when Glenn, the patriarch, emerges from the shadows to observe his grandchild. He raises his hand above Leon's head, and small sparkles of energy twinkle around him. Night changes into day, and the sun shines upon the window of the huge and luxurious mansion. The cutest protagonist, Leon, crawls on the floor muttering nonsense, and Sylvia follows him throughout, encouraging him to crawl a little more while playfully squealing in joy. But Leon seems to be distressed and annoyed, expressing that playing with Sylvia is a pain. I mean, our dude has the mind of an adult, and playing and pretending to be a baby like this makes him want to kill himself. Sylvia, however, cannot have enough of cuddling with her child, as she fiddles with him and calls him playful names. All the while, our poor hero gets more and more annoyed, exclaiming that enduring the cold energy is better than this. This goes on when suddenly Sylvia is called upon by a strange voice, and her attention is diverted towards the man who calls for her. Her face immediately lights up as she turns to face the source of the voice and calls the person the saint. The saint takes a slight bow to pay his respects to the lady, but requests her to simply address him as sir. Leon's eyes widen upon seeing the man. He wonders if the person in front of him is someone called the Saint of the Rags. And enlightening us with more background upon the characters, our hero once again narrates that the saint has divine power, medical techniques, and skills that can reach the ends of the world. However, he adds that although the man is the most famous physician, no one can see him due to his wanderlust. Coming up close, the saint gazes upon the baby, expressing that he came to see Sylvia after hearing about his birth, and he picks up Leon to gaze upon him closely. He compliments the red eyes and the blonde hair of the baby that he inherited straight from his beautiful mother. He then asks the name of the child, and at first, Sylvia hesitates to answer, but she says that the name of the child is Leon. The saint is taken aback, questioning if they named the child while knowing that it means shadow. Sylvia hesitantly agrees with the speculation, and the saint follows up with disappointment, not understanding what Glenn was thinking before naming the child. Leon observes his expressions, as he notices that the two are being quite casual with each other. In his past life, he had heard rumors of the Northern King of Annihilation being friends with the Saint of Rags, and it seems to be true. Nevertheless, the saint holds our baby hero firmly as he smiles in joy, wanting to have a closer look. He then places his hand over the baby's body, and a strange energy flows and glimmers over our hero. The saint notices that there is something wrong, as is apparent by his facial expressions. Sylvia also notices this and asks the saint about it, and the man tells her that the baby has the bitter cold curse. He gives back the baby for Sylvia to hold, as he continues to elaborate that the baby's energy circuit has been blocked off by ice energy. If they treat him concurrently before his future checkups, he will not die. However, he also lets Sylvia know of the sorrowful fate, that the baby will not live for a long time if he is left untreated. Sylvia's eyes widen in shock, and her voice starts to shake as she states that the saint is lying. She does not believe this to be true. And just as the saint tells her about writing a prescription to start the treatment, a voice calls out to interrupt him. The voice belongs to a maid, who rushes forward to the saint to tell him that the patriarch is looking for him. The saint lets her off, telling her that he will be there with the patriarch once he is done with the conversation. But the maid insists that the patriarch wants to see him right now. Accepting the call, the saint hesitantly takes his leave, expressing that the patriarch cannot get his timing right. Observing the situation, Leon thinks that knowing about the disease does not change anything. because as long as he can complete the fire ring on time, such a curse won't be an issue. This is when a teardrop falls onto his face, making him halt in his thoughts. Our baby hero gazes upon the crying face of Sylvia, who still believes it to be a lie. She sniffles and expresses that she cannot lose her child like this, and she refuses to accept that he is dying. Sniffling and silent tears turn into wails and screams of agonizing pain as Sylvia falls to the floor, firmly holding her baby. She promises that she is going to make it better, no matter the cost. She is still in denial that her child is sick with a deadly disease. Leon's eyes widen and his heart skips a beat.
He
wonders what this emotion is, and he expresses that his heart is aching. He sees himself observing the poor woman, telling himself that he does not wish to see this. Among the wails and the screams, Sylvia suddenly stops crying when her baby's hand touches her face to wipe off the tears. She gazes upon her baby closely with her eyes full of shock, and Leon reaches for her in an attempt to call for her, until he manages to mutter the word mommy. Meanwhile, Glenn was busy engaging in a conversation with the saint, when suddenly, a commotion rises from the other room, diverting their attention. The voices of the maid yell and call for Lady Sylvia to stop, and Glenn questions what the ruckus is all about. The maid follows after Sylvia as the yelling continues, and she warns her that the patriarch is inside the room. The door breaks open, and Sylvia barges into the room despite the maid's best efforts. She glares at the patriarch while she huffs and puffs to catch her breath. The red eyes of the patriarch, Glenn, glare at his daughter as he confronts her about the reason for this ruckus. He mentions the rude and unsightly behavior, demanding a suitable answer. But he stops mid-sentence when he sees his daughter kneeling before him on the floor with tears in her eyes, begging him to save her child. Right off where we left, Sylvia is seen begging the patriarch to save her child. However, the patriarch does not seem to be bothered as he sips away on his tea. Being persistent as she is, Sylvia exclaims that the patriarch is well aware of the child's state and how much the child means to her. She repeatedly asks him to save him. But adding to the bleak and tense atmosphere, the patriarch coldly questions why he would want to save someone who cannot contribute to the family. He expresses that the child is an example of how
they are always just so irritating, bro. Like, I get it, man, but you the leader and the patriarch and all that, but like, why do these fathers and patriarchs and leaders gotta be such dickheads, man? I don't get it. That is your grandson, bro. Man, he's gonna die. Man, you can let him die. You know, he can't contribute to the family. He's like, what, bro? Like, come on now, man. That's a
difficult a martial artist's life is. Sylvia continues to persuade the patriarch as she mentions the child to be his grandson. But he is not fazed. The most he can do for the child is to give him the Zygarde name, and he asks his daughter to be thankful that he is being generous even with such an offering. Of course, Sylvia's tears do not appear to stop as she wails and screams for her father. The cruel man then asks the guards to take her away, and the brutish men drag her out of the room. Sylvia's screams and wails can be well heard across the mansion, as she desperately shouts at her father to save her child. The cries do not go unnoticed because the saint observes this commotion. He sighs in disappointment and calls the patriarch stubborn. This is when, in a shocking turn of events, the saint questions what the patriarch plans to do now when he has called him to look upon his grandson's condition. The patriarch overlooks the confrontation and quietly sips on his tea, asking the saint to give the details. He continues to do so, saying that as Leon grows, the condition worsens with his age. But he emphasizes that thanks to the patriarch's aura pushing out some of the cold air, he will be fine for a bit. However, the unforeseen situation dawns upon the patriarch as it is made known that his grandson will not be able to become a martial artist. Following the patriarch's strange dilemma and behavior, the saint asks why he has named the child Shadow, expressing that there are many names that he could have chosen from. Interestingly, the patriarch mentions that the name, Leon, does not just mean shadow. He continues to enlighten the saint, as he mentions that 1,000 years ago, it had another meaning too. At the break of dawn, as the sun shines down, we are brought into the setting of the mansion as Sylvia holds down a spoon with some medicine. She encourages Leon to gulp down the medicine provided by the saint. Anticipating a speedy recovery, the maid and Sylvia both close their eyes, wishing the baby to be healed. They open their eyes at the sound of the baby squealing and reaching out his hand for his mother. Sylvia celebrates in joy along with the maid, Helen, happy that her son is healing and enduring. Helen agrees with the lady as she also adds that he must have understood their intentions. Holding her son firmly in her arms, Sylvia draws Leon closer as he contemplates feeling better. He notices the medicine to be the fire attribute medicine, which is creating warm air to push out the cold air from his mana circuits. Satisfied with the results of the medicine, Sylvia encourages and playfully asks if her son understands her intentions. Our baby hero nervously and hesitantly accepts taking in more medicine. Fast forwarding a couple of years, we are brought to a setting where our baby hero has grown.
Look at him.
He narrates to fill in the gaps for us. Leon says that he started training after taking the medicine and after achieving a groundbreaking first fire ring. 2 more years of training have passed. All grown up, our baby hero is not so baby anymore, and he expresses the same emotion as he continues to narrate his daily routine from the last 2 years.
Okay.
After playing with Sylvia and Helen around nap time and midnight, he would always train. Even more time has passed since the start of his training, and now our hero is 5 years old.
Okay.
We see a grown-up Leon sitting upright on his bed as he smiles in satisfaction, and a system window appears in front of him showing his achievements at such a young age. The window highlights that he has now finally achieved the second Ring of Fire.
Okay.
By this time, it is revealed that Leon has managed to create the 2-star Ring of Fire. Leon observes and gazes upon the message window as he contemplates the factors of the 2-star Ring of Fire. He elaborates that at this stage, the flames revolve in cross formation, and his energy observation gets more sensitive. The deep contemplation and celebration are, however, interrupted by Helen, who calls for Leon, expressing that he is up early this morning. She asks if she can take his laundry, and Leon approves.
Okay.
He observes Helen work her way through his laundry as he realizes that she cannot see the message window appearing before him. And now we learn, as Leon tells us, that the message windows first started appearing when he obtained the 1-star fire ring. In a flashback, our hero narrates that he did not know what it was at first, but he soon realized it to be a comfortable status window that lets him check all his stats. He also mentions Helen's strange reaction when he first started interacting with the window. He expresses that it was evident that the message was only available to him. Continuing the deep contemplation, Leon expresses that although he has now achieved the 2 stars, his low stamina and the bitter cold curse remain. He strokes his chin and points out that improving like this would not have been possible if not for the fire attribute medicine. Dwelling back on past events, he expresses that during these 5 years, Helen and Sylvia, along with everyone at the annex, have been looking after him diligently, taking care of him like a prince.
Sylvia's still
Rubbing the
fine.
back of his head, he believes all this prince's treatment must have had an influence on him as well. But it soon dawns upon him that he still has a lot of time left, and he is only yet 5 years old. He then contemplates his condition, elaborating that the curse is a problem, and so is the low stamina, which work together to get in his way if he tries to move even a little bit. However, in his past life, he was known as the best assassin on the continent, and he had learned the greatest technique of the Ring of Fire. Our hero draws a ball of fire that revolves and hovers in his hands. He plans that once he completes the Ring of Fire, using his past experiences, the weaknesses will soon be gone forever. He adds that upon learning the Zygarde's swordsmanship, he will be able to slay Dareth's neck. But as Dareth is one of the strongest transcendents on the continent, Leon knows that he won't be able to keep his mind stable if he goes insane from revenge. He concludes that even if it's slow, he needs to gain the power and finish him off when the opportunity arises.
He's smart.
Just as our hero determines to train even harder, a voice calls at him, acknowledging that he is awake. He turns his attention towards the voice and finds his mother, reminding him that they have to go somewhere today, and asking him to get changed so they can leave. Leon looks out the window and elaborates that the powers that maintain the balance of the continent are called the 5 demons and 6 emperors. As a cart travels across the stone road, our hero continues to explain that of those powers, he has been born into the Zygarde family, which belongs to the 6 emperors. He adds that the emperors demonstrate a positive influence, while the demons threaten the peace of the continent. He also explains that there are several other powers outside of these, and so there happens to be a judgment ceremony to determine if these powers are good or bad. The cart follows into the gates of an annex, as Leon expresses that today is the Zygarde family's judgment ceremony.
Okay.
Mouths of the...
Alright, so we're going to stop here. Was this 2208? Alright, so 2209. So we're going to stop it right here. I'm going to probably be recording episode 2 right after this. But here are my thoughts on this so far. I'm loving it. Sylvia is fine as hell. And my only concern is the type of MC we're going to have for the future. Because that type of stuff can make or break a story when it comes to this type of stuff. So if the MC is not like naive and all of that stuff, I doubt it's going to be an issue. But he was a professional assassin in the past, so I doubt that we're going to have a problem with that. But that's going to be it for this episode. I will catch you guys next time. Or literally 2 minutes from now.